Good afternoon, everybody. We'll go ahead and reconvene back to our open session of our board meeting. And first, we'll just go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. So today, may I ask Vice President, would you like to do the pledge for us, please?
My apologies. Can we begin with roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do the roll call first.
Thank you. Supervisor Rabakoga is here. Supervisor Jung?
Here.
Supervisor Ellenberg?
I'm here.
Vice President Arenas?
Here.
And President Lee.
Good afternoon, President, as well. Let's go ahead and, if you could, Vice President.
Please rise if you're able to and join us for I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, so we'll go ahead, go over item number 7, considering the recommendations relating to certificates, appreciations. First is we'll go ahead and do the adopting proclamation, declaring February 2026 as a Black History Month, along with the other program. Let's see, I think we should just take all this one vote.
I'm happy to
correct?
move approval of all items under 7.
second.
Thank you.
Oh, and President, I'd like to hear items 7D and 7G together during presentation.
You mean 8? We'll go to 8. The presentation's going to be at 8.
Okay, thank you.
So the vote is only for 7, A through 7L. Okay, thank you. No further comments? Let's take the vote.
Supervisor Rabakoga?
Aye.
Supervisor Jung?
Yes.
Supervisor Ellenberg?
Yes.
Vice President Arenas?
Yes.
And President Lee.
Aye as well.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. So this takes us to the first presentation of today's agenda, 8A, which is declaring February 2026 as the Black History Month in Santa Clara County. So today, we gather to celebrate the Black History Month, a time of reflection, learning, and deep appreciation for the extraordinary contributions of African Americans to our county and our nation. At this time, I would like to invite Milan Ballantyne, Jeremiah Lineberger, and Levere Foster to join me at the dais, please. Please come up. So as we stand together today, we honor history that's both profound and foundational. 2026 marks an important anniversary. In fact, the 100th anniversary of Black History Month, which first began in 1926 as Negro History Week. This movement was founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, a historian who believed that people denied their history and denied their humanity. And I'm not going to sugarcoat how the United States has treated our African American and Black community members. Here in Santa Clara County, the 1860 federal census showed that our county was home to just 3 African American residents: Anna from Missouri, 10 years old, Jenny, 50, and Nate at 28. We do not know how many more of these 3 residents, but we do know that slavery was still legal in the United States until 1865. And it was not until nearly a century later, with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, that it was federally recognized that all persons, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, were equal. 1964 was really not that long ago, but we have seen a great deal of progress, both moving forward and be reversed. I continue to learn about the impacts of our county's action on our African American neighbors, and I'm so grateful that we here in Santa Clara County have a wide breadth of longstanding organizations and institutions to help advance equity education, and cultural awareness. These groups include the Silicon Valley NAACP, the African American Community Services Agency, the Santa Clara County Alliance of Black Educators, Silicon Valley 100 Black Men, and many more, such as historical churches, cultural institutions, and African American Studies program at our local colleges and universities. All of these groups and beyond help us to learn and share the African American experience with our wider community. And in honor of this year's 2026 Black History Month, the national theme is titled, quote, "A Century of Black History Commemorations," unquote, which helps to remind us not only of the central role that African Americans have played in shaping our nation, but also the importance of preserving and teaching the history for generations to come. So this month, I ask that we all take the opportunity to learn more about our counties, our country's African American population, and take the time to recognize the culture, history, and achievements that have made our county so much greater. I mean, who doesn't love ice cream? And thanks to James Hemmings, Augustus Jackson, and Alfred Crowell. So now, therefore, the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors proudly proclaims February 2026 as Black History Month in Santa Clara County. Today's celebration is not only about honoring the past, it's about uplifting the present and investing in the future. It's about recognizing leaders, educators, advocates, and community builders and continue to shape our county every day. With that, it's my pleasure to invite someone who embodies that leadership and commitment, Milan Bellinson, to share a few words. Come on in, Milan. Yay.
Well, first of all, thank you so much to our wonderful Board of Supervisors and President of the Board. My name is Milan Ballanton, and I currently serve as Executive Director of the African American Community Service Agency. The organization was started in 1978, and so the story of Black History Month started as Negro History Week, because as I've shared the story many times, that when you are stolen from your home country and you have no ability to speak a language, but then you can now, in current time, run for public office or seek school board seats or do something great, I have to look back at why Dr. Carter G. Woodson created Negro History Week 100 years ago. It wasn't until President Gerald R. Ford in 1976 recognized Black History Month, and then in 1986 made it an actual holiday in the United States of America. It shows that it took a long time to recognize the contributions of a people who were stolen from a land, only to make the land that we are in greater. And so we share that experience with our immigrant brothers and sisters in how we navigate the world today. Through Black History Month, we believe in training and developing our young people within our community and all. So today I would like to recognize our interns who are with us that were made possible by inventory grants from our elected officials. We have Kaya Huff here with us, working on our nighttime daycare. We have Eric Parker here. He is working on our AI and AR. He's a student at San Jose State. We have Jeremiah, future Dr. Lineberger, who's a doctoral student at San Jose State University, and our amazing associate director. To the young people in the room, when you are in your classrooms and learning about Black history or not, ask questions about the history, as we ask questions always about how can we make our world better? What contributions? At the African American Community Service Agency, we do have an emphasis in serving our community, but we serve all communities. So if you need food on a Tuesday, come to AACSA. If you need support with finding a daycare, come to AACSA. If you need support with finding support for rental assistance and all, because we know what it means to be oppressed in a place where you are calling home. And so for that, we celebrate African American community through Black history and creating it together with all of you. Thank you for your time.
There you go. Picture? Come on. Next, we are presenting a proclamation declaring February 19th the Day of Remembrance, anniversary of the Executive Order 9066 by Supervisor Abe-Koga.
Thank you so much, President Lee, and good afternoon, everyone. It's deeply personal for me to bring forward this proclamation to recognize February 19th, 2026 as Day of Remembrance, the 84th anniversary of Executive Order 9066 in Santa Clara County. On this day in 1942, Executive Order 9066 was signed by President Theodore Roosevelt and enforced the removal and incarceration of more than 120,000 people of Japanese descent, 2/3 of whom were American citizens. In losing their freedom, they joined an estimated 5,500 community leaders and teachers who had been picked up by J. Edgar Hoover's FBI in the days following the bombing of Pearl Harbor. For the Japanese American community, this is not distant history, it's family history, it's lived memories. And it is a reminder of how quickly prejudice and fear can override our Constitution. As I speak today, I cannot ignore the painful parallels between the 1940s and what we are witnessing now. In today's America, it's undeniably, painfully public. We are seeing families torn apart, American citizens detained. We hear racist rhetoric that dehumanizes immigrants and paints them as threats rather than members of our community who bring life to our cities. History bears lessons. That is exactly why we must recognize and speak out when we are making grave mistakes again. Proclaiming February 19th as a day of remembrance means recognizing the consequences of silence, of executive power, and allowing hate to define who belongs. And it's about recommitting ourselves to creating policies and protecting communities so that residents are not targeted, profiled, or stripped of due process because of their race, religion, or national origin. Remembering is an act of resistance. History is a tool to better plan for the future. Today, I'm joined by Reiko Nakayama, chair of the San Jose Nihon Machi Outreach Committee, which has organized San Jose's Day of Remembrance since 1981. Its mission is to educate the public about the incarceration of Japanese Americans and to defend civil and human rights for all. I'll let Reiko talk about the Day of Remembrance event coming up on Sunday, February 15th, and I strongly encourage everybody to join us. I'll be there. Knowing history can help us recognize when we as a country are committing a wrong. Knowing history can help instruct us how we as ordinary people can stand up and speak up. And thank you all for joining me to proclaim February 19th of Day of Remembrance in Santa Clara County. Now I'd like to ask Reiko-san to say a few words. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Abe-Koga. I am Reiko Nakayama, Chair of Nihon Machi Outreach Committee. On behalf of the Japantown community, I would like to express our sincere appreciation for this proclamation. 46 years ago, the Nihon Machi Outreach Committee established the San Jose Day of Remembrance to commemorate the signing of Executive Order 9066, a tragic directive that led to the incarceration of over 120,000 people of Japanese descent. A primary goal of Day of Remembrance was to mobilize diverse communities in support of the redress movement, a bold campaign that successfully sought civil rights restitution and a formal government apology to the Civil Liberties Act of 1988. Hundreds gather at the San Jose Day of Remembrance event, not only to honor those affected by the events of 84 years ago, but also to reflect on their modern significance. As recipients of an official apology from the United States, we feel a deep obligation to defend all communities targeted by hate and discrimination. This year's program, themed Neighbors, Not Enemies, highlights the parallels between history and the present. In 1942, the U.S. government invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to apprehend and imprison over 31,000 Japanese, German, and Italian immigrants. Today, the administration has utilized this same wartime act to bypass basic immigration and due process laws, making many in our community fearful of leaving their homes or taking their children to school. We have recently celebrated a unanimous vote by the San Jose City Council to support H.R. 630, the Neighbors Not Enemies Act, which would repeal the outdated and discriminatory Alien Enemies Act of 1798. We now urge the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors to issue a similar statement in support of this vital legislation to protect the civil liberties and human rights of all our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone come down and take a photo. Yes, thank you so much.
No, yes. So next on the agenda is presenting a proclamation declaring February 4th as the Saka Nakoda Day in Santa Clara County with Vice President Arenas.
Yes, thank you, President Lee. It is Saka Nakadar Day, and for this proclamation, I'm going to ask my friends from the Sikh community to come and join me while I say a couple of words, and then we'll hear from Dr. Singh, and then provide you with a proclamation. It is my honor to continue to present this proclamation to my Sikh friends. This is during February 4th. I've been doing this since I was a council member. This is how we all met. We are neighbors because we all live in Evergreen. But more than neighbors, we are partners, as we see you as a source of support and network for our community members, especially when there's difficult times. There's been very many of those throughout the years, starting with some of the floods that we had when I first was a council member, and you all stepped up to lend a hand to our community without us even asking, and that continued on with the pandemic and other events that have happened throughout the years. But today, what I'd like to share with you is a source of pain that has happened in 1986, and today we remember a number of gentlemen who gave their lives to speak their truth in a peaceful way. So I'll tell you a little bit more about what I'm talking about. Today we're remembering Ravinder Singh, Baldeer Singh, Jilman Singh, and Harminder Singh. And what had happened is on February 4th, 1986, these four unarmed and peaceful Sikh students were killed by state police in Punjab, India, in an unprovoked firing while participating in a peaceful religious procession and protest. I think this nation has seen some of that happen in recent years, and we understand that level of pain that we will carry on for decades. These extrajudicial killings violated freedom of peaceful assembly, protections that are recognized and codified by the United Nations, including Article 5 of the UN Declaration on Human Rights Defenders. Those who exercise their right to peacefully protest should not be the targets of fatal violence that leaves a painful absence in the lives of their loved ones and their communities. Saka Nakadar Day acknowledges this tragedy and to recognize these four young men who were unjustifiably killed 40 years ago for practicing their rights to freedom of speech. And this Martyrdom Day, the County of Santa Clara stands in solidarity with the Sikh community, families of the victims of Nagadar tragedy in their pursuit for justice. And as they continue to build worldwide support, I wish for all of us to remember their names today and each year on this day for their bravery. Once again, it's for Ravinder Singh, Baldir Singh, Jilman Singh, and Harminder Singh. I hope today's acknowledgement of Nagadar tragedy may help spread awareness and aid in generational and community healing for families directly affected. And before I provide this proclamation that will honor today's martyrs, I would like to invite Dr. Harinder Singh to please share with us. I know that we have other members of our Sikh community who are also here, and that is Sukhdev Singh, Satvir Singh Bainuwal, Pavneet Kaur, and Sakrit Kaur. But first, we will hear from Dr. Singh. Thank you.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ Honorable Chair, members of the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Sylvia, distinguished guests, and members of community, thank you. Thank you to the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors for once again recognizing February 4th as Saka Nakoda Day. This continued recognition is more than ceremonial. It's a meaningful act of remembrance and solidarity with the families who have waited far too long for justice. 40 years ago, on February 4th, 1986, in Nakodar, Punjab, India, 4 unarmed Sikh students, Ravinder Singh, Baltir Singh, Jilman Singh, and Harminder Singh were killed during a peaceful protest while they were protesting sacrilege of Sri Guru Granth Sahib, our holy script. They were students. They were sons. They were young men with their entire lives ahead of them. Their families have lived for 4 decades with grief compounded by something even heavier, the absence of accountability. The absence of accountability. By continuing this proclamation, Santa Clara County affirms a simple but powerful truth that human life has value everywhere, and that justice delayed anywhere concerns us all. This recognition matters deeply to the families, especially to the parents like my father, who has spent 40 years pursuing justice through peaceful, lawful, and democratic means. He has approached courts, commissions, and institutions not with anger or violence, but with faith and the rule of law. That commitment to peaceful civic engagement deserves recognition. Saka Nakoda Day is not about reopening the old wounds. It's about acknowledging the unresolved ones. It's about remembering that justice is not confined by the borders and that democratic societies have a moral responsibility to stand with those whose voices have been ignored. This proclamation reflects values that resonate strongly here in Santa Clara County: the right to peaceful assembly, the importance of accountability, and the belief that the governments must answer to the people they serve. When a local government recognizes an event far beyond its boundaries, it sends a powerful message that human rights are universal and the remembrance is a form of action. On behalf of the families of the Saka Nakoda martyrs and the broader Sikh community, I want to express sincere gratitude to this board and especially to Supervisor Sylvia for listening understanding, and standing with us year after year. For these families, this proclamation does not replace justice, but it does something equally important. It tells them they are not alone. And their 4-year struggle has not been forgotten. As we mark Saka Nakodar Day, we do so with humility, remembrance, and hope. Hope that truth will one day be acknowledged, and the justice, however delayed, will not be denied forever. Thank you for standing on the side of remembrance, dignity, and human rights. Thank you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
And with that, I proclaim today Saka Nakodar Day. Sat Sri Akal. Wonderful.
Okay, so next we have a couple of items. Let's group those, 8D and 8G, which is the presenting commendation for the BLVD Kings Car Club for the annual toy drive event, and also to the Viejitos Silicon Valley Car Club as well. Go ahead, Supervisor Young.
Thank you. I'd like to invite the Boulevard Kings Car Club and the Viejitos Silicon Valley Car Club to join me, please. Today, I am joined by Luis Mendoza, Rick Ibarra of the Boulevard Kings Car Club, and Jimmy Gustañantes of the Viejitos Silicon Valley Car Club. We're talking about Christmas in February. But it's important. Wait until you hear the story. During the December 2025 holiday season, the Boulevard Kings and Viejitos Car Clubs organized a toy drive to support children and families across East San Jose. Their leadership and collaboration made it possible to deliver toys directly to District 2 neighborhoods, including Mayfair, Pokeway, and Comar, meeting families where they are. From a giant holiday sleigh to iconic lowriders, they created a joyful, unforgettable experience, connecting with hundreds of children and families, spreading real holiday cheer in a manner rooted in respect, honor, and the principle of neighbors taking care of one another. In my short time on the board, I have heard of this tradition from numerous Eastside residents, describing the magic and excitement they felt hearing the sirens that heralded Santa's arrival and looking out the window to see a caravan of lowriders, one towing a giant sleigh, delivering toys, smiles, and cheer. Children were able to choose their toys, take pictures with Santa, and some even tried to climb into the sled. It was also magical for me, getting to experience the shared wonderment of the day. I will never forget the memory of Councilmember Peter Ortiz, dressed as Santa, myself dressed as an elf. Although, Louis, you felt my costume could have been more. Could have been more on brand. Okay, I'll work on it next year. I remember us hanging on for dear life in the sleigh when we turned onto Story Road and picked up speed, heading from Pokeway to Comar. If you know that way and you know the neighborhood, you know that traffic there is no joke. This annual toy drive reflected the best of our community: generosity, compassion, and neighbors showing up for one another. Thanks to the volunteers, partners, local businesses, and the efforts of Boulevard Kings, Viejitos, Louis, who started this tradition, Tony, Jimmy, Rick, and the members who continue this tradition. On behalf of the County of Santa Clara, I thank you. We thank you.
Let me see, I ain't good at this, hold on a second. My name is Louis Mendoza, and we've been doing this for, what, 6 years now? Is it 6 years we've been doing this? We're passing out toys to the kids that unfortunately don't have too much stuff, so. I want to thank Betty for helping us and being here with us and awarding us with this, because I appreciate it. And she made a good little elf, so. Yeah, everything's been nice. We're trying to get out every toys and everything, but it'd be nice if we got a little bit more help from more council members. You guys hear that? More toys, more everything, and even the fire department and everybody. You guys help out. We need more toys. Pass them out to more neighborhoods as the kids. More neighborhoods, more kids, more happier people for Christmas. So that's about all I got to say. I appreciate everything, though. Thank you.
My name is Jimmy Gustamontes. I'm with Viejitos Car Club. All I want to say is thank you for the council, thank you for the community, for their participation, and the kids say thank you too for all the kids that need it. Have a good day.
I'd like to invite my board colleagues and administration to join us for a group photo.
I hope so.
Okay, next we have commendation for the Hello Trails and also the Clean Rides accessories for the annual toy drive as well. Please come on up.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
I'd like to invite the team from Hella Trails and Clean Rides Accessories to join me. This is also going to be a presentation celebrating the contributions of car clubs during the holiday season. I know it's February, but folks, this is an all-volunteer effort, and everybody got their day jobs to get to, so it took a while to get everybody here. Thank you. Is Tim and Tony with you? No, okay, got it. Joining me today is Rob Balden with Hella Trails and Sal Ramirez, founder of Clean Rides Accessories. We're also joined by Sal's family, Yanai, his wife, Mateus, and Zaya, his children. This past December, Clean Rides Accessories and Hella Trails came together to organize a toy drive in support of children and families across Santa Clara County. They mobilized cars and trucks from across the county, including a memorable moment with a giant tow truck lifting a giant truck into the sky, turning the day into a very exciting celebration. They brought with them their vast network of the overland community, car enthusiast clubs and small business owners united by their love of off-roading camping trips and centering family experiences in nature's majesty. The theme of family is at the heart of their craft, their community and their commitment that brought partners together to collect toys for children and youth in need of some additional holiday cheer. Their partnership reflected strong collaboration and creativity with toys distributed at the Hub Foster Youth and Resource Center for current and former foster youth and for the children of our parenting foster youth. Sal and Tin, who's not here, were in charge of delivering the toys. Timing was an issue because they were running their businesses and meeting the demands of their customers during the holiday rush. They came, they met the youth, learned about the Hub and what it did, who it served, and decided that they did not bring enough. Honestly, you brought enough. You brought more than enough. Sal and Tin went back to their families, their partners, and donors that night to say, we need to do more. They went shopping that night and came back the next day with more toys, hygiene kits, and care packages of blankets, slippers, books, and toys assembled for our Hub foster youth and their families. This event brought people together and showed how community-led efforts can make a real difference, and we look forward to seeing this work continue in the years ahead. Thank you to Clean Rides Accessories and Hella Trails for your unwavering commitment and support to reach vulnerable communities and for your continued service to the people of Santa Clara County. At this time, I'd like to invite Rob of Hella Trails and Sal of Clean Rides to share a few remarks.
I'll go first. Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Supervisor Betty and her amazing team. It's been a pleasure collaborating with you over the years, and we eagerly anticipate organizing more events this year. Also, I would like to extend my appreciation to Rob, also Tin, Chris, Mike. They're not here today, but they're also a big part of Hella Trails. Gentlemen, it's an honor to work with you and bring some of the best events to our neighborhood. Thank you. Special shout out to my wife, Yanai, my son, Matias, and my daughter, Zaya. You all have been my greatest support throughout the years. My name is Sal. We own Clean Rides Accessories, located in North San Jose. We specialize in the off-road and overland community and have been building cool trucks since 2018. We firmly believe in bringing the community together, which is why we host many events throughout the year. One of my favorite events is our annual Christmas toy drive. It's a wonderful opportunity to support local families throughout Santa Clara County. Watching the joy on the faces of these children and young people as they receive unexpected gifts from all of us is truly heartwarming. I would like to invite you to join us on this special event and bring joy to our families in need within our community. I'm honored to live and serve you all in Santa Clara County. Looking forward to seeing all of you. Thank you.
I just want to say thanks to Supervisor Betty and the rest of the board for helping facilitate the location and helping out with all the event staff. I represent Hella Trails, my partners Chris and Mike. We've been doing this since 2018 and look forward to doing it in the years to come. Thanks to Sal and his team for always setting everything up.
I'd like to invite the members of the board and administration to join us for a group photo. Can I also invite family, Hella Trails and Clean Rides Accessories, come on up for a big group photo.
Moving next, we are doing a proclamation declaring February 11th as the 211 Day in Santa Clara County with Supervisor Ellenberg and Young.
Today, in partnership with my colleague Supervisor Betty Young, we recognize the tremendous positive impact of 211. Oh, I forgot to call the people up. Are they?
Let's invite them now.
211 folks here? Yes, thank you. Come on up. We'll talk to you where we can see you. Sorry about that. I was just all excited. Do you want a chair up here? You good? Okay. Take two. Today, we recognize the tremendous positive impact of 211, a free and confidential phone service available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, connecting individuals and families to essential resources when they need them most. Whether someone is seeking help with housing, food, healthcare, or transportation, 211 serves as a trusted first call, meeting people with dignity, compassion, and real solutions. Across the country, the 211 network is powered by hundreds of partner agencies working together to support millions of people every year. At the heart of this work are trained specialists who provide calm, knowledgeable, and compassionate information and guidance, helping people navigate complex systems during difficult moments. Here in Santa Clara County, this valuable service is operated by United Way Bay Area, whose mission is to fight poverty and advance equity. By operating this helpline, not only here, but across multiple counties and in more than 150 languages, United Way Bay Area ensures that help is accessible, responsive, and rooted in the needs of our communities. That leadership and commitment translate into real impact. In 2025, 211 Bay Area helped nearly 23,000 residents and provided more than 41,000 referrals, connecting people to housing support, food assistance, healthcare, and other services that help families maintain or regain stability. And beyond everyday assistance, 211 Bay Area also serves as a lifeline during times of crisis, whether responding to natural disasters, public health emergencies, or other urgent situations. The service provides timely, accurate information, helping residents know where to turn and how to stay safe. Today, we recognize not only the power of 211, but the vision and stewardship of United Way Bay Area in making this work possible. Your leadership strengthens our regional safety net, uplifts our neighbors, and reminds us that no one should have to navigate hardship alone. I will turn to my colleague to share some remarks, and then we will ask Laura Escobar from United Way Bay Area to say a few words and accept the proclamation.
Thank you. Throughout every crisis or emergency operation, every emergency or disaster service worker will tell you that the first and foremost thing that needs to happen is a communication tree. Reliable, real-time communications that was necessary providing life-saving services. During the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, I had the honor of serving in the Emergency Operations Center, and every day started with a check-in with 211, and every day ended with a check-in with 211. And this meant 7 days a week, because the phone lines were always open. I just want to share that little bit of a reflection to fully know, or come as close as possible to fully understanding the wide work that's done and the depth that is necessary in managing not just a helpline, but a resource line, a lifeline for those who may not have another number to call or may not know yet. So don't ever forget 211. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Ellenberg, Supervisor Yoon, and members of the other members of the Board of Supervisors for this meaningful recognition. My name is Laura Escobar. I'm the Vice President of Safety Net Services at United Way Bay Area, and I started my over 35-year career at United Way as a call specialist on the 211 helpline. My first year was the Loma Prieta earthquake. So I'd been a pretty new call specialist when Loma Prieta happened, subsequently the Oakland Hills fire. And what I would say about 211 as far as disaster response, I mean, yes, it's a place you can call. Where can I get sandbags? Which roads are closed? We've seen this with the Napa fires. We also operate 211 in Napa. And it really takes the load off 911. I'm looking at a lot of first responders in the room. A lot of people call and say, where can I volunteer? Where can I bring this and that? So 211 is a great service in a time of disaster. So I'm honored to accept this 211 Day proclamation on behalf of the entire United Way Bay Area team, our partners, and the thousands of residents who rely on us each year. It's more than a phone number. It's a lifeline. It's free. It's confidential. It's 24 hours a day. And I would say that most calls from when I started in 1989 to now, most of our calls are safety net related. It's for housing. I need help with my rent. Those are the most of the calls we got then and that we get now. It's help with food. We saw a spike in calls during the recent government shutdown where people were scrambling who were going to be possibly cut off their CalFresh benefits and needing to be referred to their local pantry. And 211 was there to help them refer them to local services. It's healthcare, it's transportation. Really anybody who's a nonprofit or a government service in Santa Clara County, we have the referral for them. And like Supervisor Ellenberg said, we helped 22,911 residents of Santa Clara County, over 41,000 referrals to different services. And each one of those calls is a family, a senior, someone who doesn't know where to start. That's usually how a call starts. Hi, I don't know where to begin. Where can I get help with rent? And we work very closely in this county, I personally do as well, with the Emergency Assistance Network. We actually convene them and work with them, and they're often the front door for a lot of the safety net services in this county, and it's my honor to work with them. It's my own personal little shout out to them. So our specialists at the call center are the heart of the work. They show up every day with empathy, patience, knowledge of the resources, and they help people feel seen and supported. Often during the most difficult times of their life, people often are embarrassed. They don't know where to start, and it's hard to ask for help. So we're a place to start. So thank you again for recognizing the essential role of 211, for your partnership, your support, ensuring that no residents face hardship alone. And we encourage everyone on this February 11th, or what we like to call 211 Day, to learn about 211, share it with friends, neighbors, use it yourself on behalf of yourself, or a friend or family member, and together we can continue building a community where help is just a 3-digit phone number away. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have a commendation for Jerry Zimmerman as he retires after 38 years of service to our county.
Jerry, come on up.
Executive.
Jerry Zimmerman's retiring after having devoted 38 years of service to the County of Santa Clara. demonstrating professionalism and dedication throughout. Jerry began his county career with what is now known as the Consumer and Environmental Protection Agency, or CEPA, in 1988 as a Vector Control Technician 3, before becoming a roofer in 1999 with the Facilities and Fleet Department. He continued his career progression serving as the Maintenance Project Manager from 2015 to 2017, Work Center Manager from 2017 to 2018, and Chief of Construction Services from 2018 to 2024, during which he oversaw a wide range of capital and maintenance projects. Since 2024, Jerry has served as the Deputy Director of the Facilities and Fleet Department Building Operations Division, providing strategic direction, operational oversight, and study leadership to a team responsible for performing maintenance for most county facilities. Jerry is known as a positive, generous, and supportive leader, mentoring countless employees and fostering a culture of collaboration and integrity, all without seeking credit or recognition for his contributions. Jerry started with the county when Ronald Reagan was president and when shoulder pads and members-only jackets were in vogue. He would drive his 1967 Camaro into work at what is now CEPA each day with the windows rolled up to protect his vintage mullet hairdo from the wind. Jerry still has that Camaro, but his hairstyles have evolved with both fashion and age. But the one thing that did not change during his nearly 40 years with the county is his commitment to doing his best at whatever job he was performing and proudly serving the community in which he lived. So thank you, Jerry, for your service to our county organization, and we wish you all the best. Thank you, Jerry.
When they told me this was happening, I thought, wow, this is something really special, kind of to cap off a career. And I thought, well, how do I consolidate 38 years into the 30 minutes that James allotted me for speaking here today? So, well, maybe that. Just kidding. Relax, everybody. I think more importantly, I'd just like to say thank you to, first, I'm going to start with my wife. She is here. She got up every morning. She made my coffee. She made my lunches. I became known as Brown Bag Willie because I got to bring lunch to work every day. Second, thank you to James, the board, Greta, thank you all. This has been fantastic. I've enjoyed my years at Facilities and Fleet. We have just a fantastic supporting cast around us. They're still here, keeping the lights on in all our buildings, keeping you guys comfortable and cool, doing great work. If it wasn't for all the people that have been behind me, this wouldn't be happening. So this 20-year-old kid 38 years ago was needed a little direction. He found it, and here we are. And I appreciate everything that this career has offered me. Looking forward to retirement. Thank you.
Congratulations. Do you want to invite your family to come up for a photo?
Angie, come on up. You need to be in this picture. Much of this is due to you.
And next, we have a commendation for Dan Cook as he retires after 36 years of service to the County of
Dan,
St. Clara.
come on up. Not quite 38, but 36 is quite a long tenure. So we're celebrating the retirement today of Dan Koo, who's retiring after 36 years of exemplary service to the County of Santa Clara in the Office of the Public Defender. Dan began his county career all the way back in 1989 as a deputy public defender after an earlier career working as a police officer, probation officer, and coroner investigator. In 2018, Dan was promoted first to lead investigator, then supervising investigator, gaining credibility from his wealth of experience and solutions-oriented approach. He embraced every opportunity to assist his colleagues and was especially adept at navigating the space with attorneys. Dan enthusiastically mastered a new trick by spearheading the department's efforts into digital forensics, becoming certified in the Celebrite platform in 2019, and providing numerous consultations and tutorials to colleagues on the benefits of data extraction and analysis tools. Dan's claim to fame is his photographic memory, a useful skill for an investigator. He balanced an analytical and methodical approach with a professional and collaborative nature. Over his storied career, Dan worked every assignment within the investigation division, including 2 tours in the most challenging and work-intensive assignment with the Special Trial Unit. He thrived in the most difficult environment and always found creative ways to complete the mission. Thank you, Dan, for your inspirational leadership, your calming presence, unwavering compassion, and exceptional service to the county, to our public defender's office, and to our community. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you. I'll just say I don't have any prepared remarks. I just want to thank everybody who took the time to show up and show out, and it's been a hell of a ride.
Does anyone like to call up to join the photo?
Nope.
All right. Unfortunately, our third retiree is unable to join us this afternoon. So we will be moving to our Employee Excellence Award recipients. So if you are one of this month's recipients, please come on up and join me in the chairs that are being set up to my right and left. So every month we have a chance to recognize just a handful of our truly outstanding public servants here at the county. And this month we're going to recognize some employees from Valley Health Plan, Office of the Medical Examiner, Santa Clara County Fire Department, Office of Pretrial Services, Office of the Sheriff, Technology Services and Solutions, Social Services Agency, and Santa Clara Valley Healthcare. So the way this works is I'll call you up one at a time. I read a little blurb from your department. Then you're going to take a step back. President Lee will hand you your certificate, take a photo with you, and then at the end, we'll do a group photo all together. Sound good? All right. So first up, Kathy Nguyen. Kathy Nguyen is a senior management analyst with Valley Health Plan, who in her 7 years with the organization has become deeply engaged with all the VHP teams by proactively reaching out to each of them to personally understand their unique concerns. She's the middlewoman for many ongoing projects, the key ingredient who knows how to glue people together into a cohesive team. She's adept at explaining complex and difficult issues and offering real solutions. Kathy's an empathetic listener who values diverse perspectives and seeks collaborative solutions that benefit the greater good. She brings a natural leadership to work every day, guiding her team with confidence and clarity. Kathy leads by example, demonstrating accountability, transparency, and integrity. She has a humble and selfless demeanor that puts the team first and encourages those around her to bring out their A game. Her leadership is not about seeking recognition for herself, but about delivering a positive outcome for all. And that has earned her the deep respect of her peers and the public alike. Congratulations. Mary Farias. Mary provides exemplary support to the Office of the Medical Examiner. As an administrative support officer, she provides direct hands-on support to her staff. She always takes initiative in making sure tasks are completed accurately and timely, supporting staff with workflow processes and supporting the community. Mary completes her duties with enthusiasm. She produces quality work which is apparent and infectious to the rest of her team. Mary exhibits a positive outlook, even when faced with difficult days. She is always available to help where and when she is needed, and has the respect of her management, colleagues, and the entire Office of the Medical Examiner. When Mary is not working, she enjoys spending time with her family, her childhood friends, and her French bulldogs. Congratulations. Jonathan Pittman. Fire Captain Jonathan Pittman is an exemplary role model within the Santa Clara County Fire Department, distinguished by his innovative public service, specialized expertise, and adherence to core values throughout his 11-year tenure. John is one of only 5 primary instructors in the department, certified in Fire Control 3. In this role, he cleverly demonstrated fiscal responsibility and innovation by using leftover scrap wood from Ventilation Week as fuel for live fire training, avoiding unnecessary material costs. His commitment to service is highlighted by his instrumental role in the department's use of a vehicle known as a tractor-drawn aerial. This vehicle, also known as a hook and ladder, has significantly enhanced the department's fleet with its maneuverability and access capabilities. John's conduct exemplifies honesty and integrity. He does not take shortcuts and will always make sure the job is done perfectly across all duties from inspections to emergency response. His dedication to the community is evident not only in his participation in local events, but also in personal acts of kindness, like recently delivering toys to children in the Santa Clara Valley Medical Center burn unit. He's recognized for treating everyone with compassion and fairness, solidifying his reputation as a role model. Thank you for your service. Myra Castillo. Since joining the Office of Pretrial Services 4 years ago, Myra Castillo has demonstrated exceptional leadership, dedication, and reliability as an administrative support officer too. She supports the entire Office of Pretrial Services and supervises the justice system clerks and office specialists, ensuring daily operations run smoothly and efficiently. Myra wears many hats and steps in whenever support is needed. Her responsibilities include overseeing supplies, facility maintenance, and vehicle maintenance, and she serves as one of the department's safety coordinators. She also covers staff absences and supports her team and colleagues with daily tasks, offering guidance and hands-on assistance. In addition, Myra provides Spanish translation services and is readily available to support Spanish-speaking clients and pretrial services officers, ensuring clear communication and equitable service delivery. Her willingness to assist across functions, coupled with her strong organizational skills and positive attitude, make her an invaluable resource to the department. In her spare time, Myra enjoys spending time with her loved ones and taking family trips for quality bonding time. Congratulations. Jonathan Ha. As a network engineer for the IT division of the Sheriff's Office, Jonathan Ha plays a critical role in maintaining and advancing the Sheriff's network infrastructure, which seamlessly connects to more than 24 law enforcement agencies. Jonathan demonstrates impressive technical skills, strong organizational abilities, and effective leadership. He eagerly supports his colleagues and team members, ensuring that network issues are resolved quickly and smoothly. His dedication to the Sheriff's Office means that deputies and officers can always count on reliable access to the vital resources they need for public safety and law enforcement work. Beyond his technical proficiency, Jonathan is dedicated to continuous learning and applying best practices for optimal network performance and security. He takes pride in his work, advocates for improvements, and supports his ideas with data-driven insights. His efforts strengthen the Sheriff's Office and improve collaboration with partner agencies. Equally noteworthy is Jonathan's positive energy and approachable demeanor. His professionalism, warm personality, and bright smile make him a valued colleague and a pleasure to work with. Jonathan is a devoted husband and father who loves spending time with his family, camping, and tending to his plants. Congratulations. Kyle Frank. Kyle Frank is a senior Epic Systems analyst with Technology Services and Solutions who demonstrates exceptional professionalism, technical expertise, and collaborative leadership. He never settles for good enough and seeks out optimal outcomes in his work. Known for his calm, patient, and thoughtful approach, Kyle simplifies complex challenges and communicates solutions with clarity, instilling confidence across teams. His deep technical mastery is matched by sound judgment and a commitment to continuous improvement. Kyle is known for his reliability. He responds promptly, delivers ahead of schedule, and proactively identifies efficient solutions. During a recent project that involved tight timelines and competing priorities, Kyle exhibited transparency and integrity, clearly outlining risks and limitations while maintaining trust. Despite the workload, he delivered streamlined workflows that reduced redundancies, saving time and resources. Beyond technical excellence, Kyle's interpersonal strength sets him apart. He treats colleagues with respect, creates an environment where others feel supported and valued, and brings steady reassurance to high-pressure solutions. Kyle's contributions elevate team performance, strengthen organizational culture, and ensure compliance with patient privacy regulations. Congratulations. Juan Nguyen. Juan? Not here? All right, I will read the blurb quickly. Juan is an IT business analyst with the Department of Employment and Benefit Services in the Social Services Agency. Juan demonstrates exceptional performance by clearly communicating system-related changes, providing guidance, and remaining accessible for questions and support. She plays a key role in the CalSA's application triage and support team, ensuring staff understand system functionality and providing solutions and workarounds to system-related issues. She shines when she monitors reports to identify system issues and trends, has a special talent for making complex information accessible for frontline staff, and takes initiative to provide additional training as needed. Her approachable nature and strong affinity for teamwork foster a collaborative environment where staff feel comfortable seeking assistance and clarification. A recent example of Juan's commitment to public service was her extraordinary efforts during the federal shutdown. She worked tirelessly to ensure that benefits were issued accurately and on time. Her vigilance and determination in monitoring benefit issuances helped ensure the program's integrity at a very difficult time for clients. We thank her for her service. Kelly Dimitris. Kelly Dimitris is a therapist in custody health services who demonstrates an unwavering commitment to clients in custody who are experiencing acute mental health distress and having suicidal thoughts. As a key face of the Prevention Services Program, Kelly does not simply provide services, she embodies the values of dignity, compassion, and responsibility. Her work with suicidal patients is deeply empathetic. She approaches each interaction with patience and respect, ensuring that individuals in crisis feel safe enough to talk to her about what's going on, engage in getting care, and accept intervention. This ability to build trust in moments of profound vulnerability is central to suicide prevention and cannot be overstated. Kelly consistently demonstrates sound clinical judgment, strong risk assessment skills, and timely intervention, helping to prevent self-harm and potential loss of life. Beyond her technical competence, what truly sets Kelly apart is her deep sense of responsibility to public service. She treats every client with dignity regardless of their charge, background, or circumstance. She exemplifies the county's commitment to providing compassionate care within custody settings. Thank you for your service. Marianne Juan. Marianne Juan has demonstrated exceptional public service to the patients, staff, and mission of Santa Clara Valley Healthcare for more than 17 years. She consistently places patient safety, dignity, and outcomes at the center of her practice. Marianne is a trusted advocate and effective liaison between physicians and nursing staff, which ensures clear communication and coordinated high-quality care. Her engagement in unit-based leadership and quality improvement initiatives reflects a deep sense of responsibility, not only to individual patients, but also to the systems that support the community. As an interim assistant nurse manager in the Trauma Intensive Care Unit, Marianne provided steady and compassionate leadership, fostering staff engagement, resilience, and professional growth. In her current role as interim critical care staff developer, she has fully embraced education, mentorship, and competency development. Marianne consistently steps forward to meet organizational needs with purpose, accountability, and compassion. She collaborates with interdisciplinary teams, identifies opportunities for improvement, and enhances unit operations. Her integrity and approachable demeanor foster trust, psychological safety, and collaboration. Marianne is consistently exceeding expectations and elevating care standards across the organization. Thank you for your service. We have a huge round of applause for all our award recipients. And we're going to turn our backs and invite the board to join me, and we're going to take a group photo.
Just a little bit. Too much, not too much.
Yes, let's give them a huge round of applause. Woo! Okay, so we have now come to the end of our agenda today, but we will adjourn again our meeting tomorrow, 9:30, right here in the chamber, same time, same place. Thank you, everybody.